Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Happy Tuesday. I'm recording this on a Monday, so happy Monday to me. Happy Monday being over to me. Yeah, it's been a good week. It got really hot here. Like yesterday, it just like decided that it wanted to be 80 degrees, which is like, I don't know, if you live in Celsius land, that's like 28. No, 25 is 77, right? So that's like 26, 27 degrees. It's warm. It's warm. Today it was like 85. So that's like pushing up to 30 degrees Celsius. It was hot. So that's why I'm not wearing knitwear. I'm wearing a t-shirt advertising my home state. I have a lot of these. My dad frequently gets me t-shirts that have like Vermont stuff on them, which I like. But it's like, having t-shirts is such a problem. Like I never throw them away because I have a lot of them, and it's not like I wear them like to do a lot of crazy things. Like I wear them to bed. Sometimes the ones that I wear to bed a lot, like the really soft ones, get like worn out and stuff, but like my t-shirts, I have so many, they don't get worn out. So I don't really know what to do about that. I just have like 100 t-shirts, and like every few years I get rid of some that like don't have sentimental value, but I'm still like, why? I still have like 30 of these, like why? Yeah, but I had a good week. I ran a lot. I ran the Baltimore half marathon course on Saturday because I was supposed to be doing my longest run of this training block for this half marathon that I'm running in May. And like for for like a marathon, you wouldn't run a marathon as a training run, but for a half, if you're trying to break a time goal, you usually do. So it was like, I was supposed to run like a 12 to 14 mile slower run, and I did it in a pretty good time, like for a training run, and there were a lot of hills. I was warned about that, but like I didn't really think about it while I was running, and I was like, yeah, this is more hills than like the flat harbor that I usually run. Like I usually just run along the Baltimore Harbor. But anyway, yeah, it's like 3 weeks till this race, and then yeah, and then I have a couple months, I have like 3 months then to just kind of like do what I want, which probably means I will be following whatever my watch Samantha tells me to do. But also I might be doing some cross training because I've been having some Achilles tendonitis in my left ankle. So it doesn't hurt when I run, but it's like tight when I stretch it out. And I like saw a sports med doctor about it and stuff, which I discussed last week. So yeah, I think I might just need to do a little bit of like rest and recuperation from that. So I might be doing some like stationary bike for a couple days a week, or swimming. I'll probably do a lot of swimming once the pool is open at work. But yeah, this is not a podcast about me and my athletic feats and things that I do. So knitting. It was a pretty productive week. I did not finish the top of the Guernsey because I was like trying to do 8 rounds the first day, and after 5 I was like, ow, no, let's just stick to 4. And I was like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I should work this at my own pace, and for me it's so much more important to be consistent than it is to like push something and then like have that backfire, which is exactly my philosophy as a coach. Like students come to me like the week before a test and they're like, I'm screwed. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of are, because you didn't do anything consistently, and cramming doesn't work, and it makes you burn out and not get good sleep and be anxious, and then you will not perform well on the test. So you actually need to like start at the beginning of the next test cycle and be like, how can I be consistent about doing my work throughout, and like doing extra practice and things like that. So it turns out I'm okay at taking my own advice sometimes, which is great news, because I give advice for a living. So that was good. I'm like, okay, but I did work on it every day, and I'm like, except yesterday because it was Sunday, so I had a lot to do, because it was a double duty at church. So I like, but I got some done at church. Monica and I sat in the like atrium of the church and ate cannolis, and I knitted, and she talked about knitting to me and looked at her music, which was on brand for us. So that was fun. But yeah, so I don't have that. I'm not going to show you that because it doesn't look any different. And also I forgot to bring it over here, and I don't want to go to get up and get it. So, but I have all sorts of other things to show you. First of all, where's the Natalie cowl? Where did I put that? Oh, it's all in here, of course. I like have a bag. This is one of my favorite bags. I love the loop linen bags. I think I said this when I got back from the UK, but I have a few of these muslin bags, and it's just like a fun shape. It's a messenger bag shape. It's different. So I did finish this. Bless. It smells like outside. I thought it would smell like jasmine wool wash, but it just smells like outside because it's been sitting outside for a couple days drying. So this has not been grafted together, but it is beautiful blocked. Yes, thank God, finally. I'm so happy that this is done. So it will go like this around the neck, but it's gonna be half twisted. So there's gonna be a Mobius twist in it. This is gonna be released on Friday exclusively with the Woolly Thistle for a month, and then you can purchase it on Ravelry. So you might have to get it in a kit from the Woolly Thistle, but they might just sell the individual pattern. I'm not sure. It's up to them. They have the rights for a month, so they can do what they want with it. And there are like, I think I did 4 different colorways, and they kitted up, I think, all of them. So this one specifically, I don't know if this is one of them. I think it's probably not. I think the blue one is a little bit different from this. But I have detailed on the Ravelry page, which is linked in the show notes, the colors that I used for mine. So I will make sure that I'm really clear about that in the like notes section of that Ravelry page, and you can get those individual balls if you want. These are all Jamieson and Smith colors. Oh, and it's like they're in the pattern. So if you buy the pattern, you'll see. But again, if you aren't getting it from the Woolly Thistle and you need to wait until you can get it on Ravelry individually, then yeah, they're in the pattern. But I can just tell you, like on the project page, I'll write what the colors I used were and which, like, what letter they correspond to in the pattern. So I'm glad this is done. I actually really enjoyed knitting the rest of it. Like, once I just kind of said, okay, Emma, you're gonna work on this for like a half an hour at a time, twice a day, or once a day, whatever. It felt a lot more manageable. It was like, yeah, it's really easy to just sit down and do something for half an hour. Which is what I tell my students every single day. I'm like, you can sit down and do something for half an hour, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, great. So sit down and do chemistry practice problems for half an hour every day. And be like, these are the chemistry problems I'm gonna do. This is the part of the textbook I'm gonna be using. Like, decide that in advance and then just sit down and do it. Like, it's so easy. You just put on a show or an audiobook. Oops, that's the one where I messed up. Don't look at that one. And oh, it looks so good now that it's blocked. I just love the way Shetland wool blooms after it gets blocked. Yeah. So next Fair Isle project is going to be the big sweater, which I showed you last week, the big bag, which is still sitting under my desk because I haven't cast on yet, but obviously. But I have a couple more things to get through. The Guernsey has to get done. And I have to start that green sweater, which I haven't started yet because I'm trying to finish up these next 2 projects. Okay, so I totally have to get one more thing because maybe I'm not gonna get the Guernsey because it's too big, but I am gonna get the other project that I just started, which is new. I told you there was a cowl coming with John Arbon yarn. So I do have that in my backpack here. Somewhere. Yeah. So, yep, got this new project with the mini skeins that I showed you from John Arbon in my Stephen and Penelope bag. Nitin got this for me in Amsterdam last fall. He went to Stephen and Penelope. So I have the main color of Silver Birch, and this is also a Mobius twist cowl. It just, like, coincidentally, I am designing 2 in a row, apparently. This one probably won't come out for a while. I have to decide. I would like to, like, release it somewhere close to the fall or winter so that it's, like, a little bit more seasonal. I thought about, like, not showing it to anyone on this channel and then just sending it to Lina's 52 weeks of scrap yarn. But, like, John Arbon sent me this yarn and it's not scrap yarn. So I think I'm gonna do a design for, like, a design, like, proposal for 52 weeks of scrap yarn, but I have to, like, design something. So I don't know what. But this is what it looks like. This is my little snowflake cowl. I think I'm gonna call it the Forget-Me-Not cowl. So it's kind of low contrast because of the the main color is not white. So I made a sample of this in white Knit Picks palette with 8 different colors of rainbow handspun. It was much more high contrast, but then also one of the colors, the red, like bled all over the white in the water, and I didn't think about it, and it got kind of slightly wrecked, but I just gave it to Monica because she was cold at church, and she was like, yeah, I don't care. So, yeah, this is just like really simple color work pattern. It's a Latvian pattern. I found it in a book on mittens from Latvia that I have, and I actually did it on the palm of a mitten once, but I only made the first mitten because I was knitting them on size 0 needles, and I was like, there is no way in, you know, hell I'm ever gonna finish this. So, because it just hurt my hands too much to use a size 0 needle. So I was like, that's fine. I like that little pattern. I'm gonna use that on a cowl. So I am trying to knit like one. When I knitted the first one, it actually went pretty fast. I just knitted like 1 color mini skein a day. The first one I made was too big. It was too long. So just like for what I wanted it. It was fine. It's just like kind of looser on the neck. It's not as cozy. So this one's going to be shorter, and I'm going to just compare it to the Natalie cowl to just make sure that I think it's going to be the right length. But I've been measuring it and it seems fine. So yeah, it's pretty fast. It takes me just over an hour to do one set of, it takes me just over 15 minutes to do one snowflake, and there's 4 of each color. So it takes me just over an hour to do this every day. So it's been good. I didn't do it yesterday. I mean, I did one purple one before church yesterday, so I'm 1 day behind, but that's okay. Because I'm working on the Guernsey every day, and I'm like, I gotta have a priority, and the priority is Guernsey because I want to get the yoke done. Excuse me. So I'll finish the purple section today, and then I will oh, that's fine. I'm a little behind on this, but I don't care. Like, having this done in the space of a week is amazing. So I'm pleased about that, or just over a week. Get it off the needles. It's a design done. That's great. I'm excited. So I'm really enjoying knitting it with the Harvest Hues. New Harvest Hues is, here's one of the mini skeins. This is the colorway Rose Bay. Yeah, so this is 33% Blueface Leicester, 33% Falklands Merino, and 33% Swartblas. So it's a third of each. It used to just be Falklands Merino was like 65% or 66%, and then Swartblas was like 34%. But they're trying to be more local, I think, and their Blueface Leicester it's like a local British breed, whereas the Falklands Merino comes from the Falklands. So, but it's really lovely. It's very soft. There you can see it's 2-ply. It's interesting because I usually work with my hand spun version of John Arbon, and this is like way nicer. I'm a good spinner, but like this is really nice. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah, and you can too. You can get John Arbon yarn. I'll put 1303. Up there, I'll put the link to John Arbon textiles, so that you can click that. That'll take you directly to Harvest Hues 4-ply yarn, and you can buy it in top, like combed top to spin, worsted spun, or you can get I think they have a worsted weight version of it now, which is kind of cool. So you can get that too if you like worsted weight yarn and you like these colors. I would check it out. You can buy it from them. They'll ship it anywhere in the world. They don't have Harvest Hues like at, I don't know if they're wholesaling it yet. So you have to get it directly from them, but or like at one of their shows. But if you're interested in just like John Arbon's other yarns, they have tons. They're a really nice mill in Devon, in the UK. And you can get lots of their yarns at the Woolly Thistle if you're American. The Woolly Thistle, I've like already said that they're gonna have my Natalie cowl in the kit this Friday, and I haven't shared a link. So up at the top, there's a link to the Woolly Thistle. And you can, that's my affiliate link. So I get a small kickback if you use my affiliate link, at obviously no cost to you. And that's really helpful for me to support my channel. So that would be great if you were gonna shop there to use my link. And you can get all sorts of yarn from the Woolly Thistle. They basically specialize in bringing over yarns from the UK and Europe but also elsewhere in the world and the US and Canada, that are like really woolly and unprocessed. And that's my favorite kind. So I love what they do, and I work with them all the time. You can see me on their Shopcast once a month. That's how a lot of people find me. But if you found the Woolly Thistle through me, then great. I'm super happy to hook you up with some really woolly yarn. So yeah, go shop with the Woolly Thistle. So John Arbon yarns are available there too. You just go to like brands and it's under there. They have Exmoor Sock, Yarnadelic, Appledore. They probably have Devonia. They don't always have all that in stock because, you know, they have to get big shipments, but you should check out what they have. I love Yarnadelic. Yarnadelic is their 100% Falklands Corriedale, and it is so nice. It's my favorite yarn of theirs to spin, I think, because it's the bounciest one. It's so bouncy after you wash it. Oh my gosh. So that's fun. And I finished my Beth March socks. They're, oh God, I'm so bad at this. There we go. Right there. Right there. Yeah, so they're blocking. That was so easy. They were so quick. I really enjoyed that. It was a sport weight yarn. So yeah, that was nice. I'm excited for my May socks, but not for another half of a month because it is April 15th, tax day, the day I'm recording this. I did my taxes 2 months ago. I owe a lot in taxes every year because I do gig work, like for the church. So I have to pay tax on the income I earn from singing at church, and also whatever I earn from like being a professional talker on YouTube, knitwear designer, etc. Which is not very much money, but I have to pay taxes on it. I keep thinking I should start an LLC because then I can like write off expenses. Like if I go to Rhinebeck, I can like write off gas money and stuff. But I don't think I make enough. Like, I don't think I have to pay enough taxes on that money for it to really matter that much. Like anytime I buy yarn, it would be tax free though. Actually, that's like not bad. Maybe I should. I need to get an accountant for next year because I'm like, this is too much. And like, you know, I have like savings accounts and things and investment accounts for stuff because I'm an adult, which is great, but also makes my head hurt. So yeah, that's fun. So I think that's like basically my knitting. I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not working on a whole lot, but we have a lot to talk about with spinning. So if you don't want to hear me talk about spinning, you can stop watching. But boy, oh boy, do I have some things to show you. So first thing is that I finished the like South Down top that I had. This I think I got at Romney Wools in Toronto. I dyed it myself, just like randomly, just kind of like went over it with the tie-dye bottles, the yellow, the navy, the green, and I just fractal spun it, tore it into 2 bigger pieces, and then like split it. Just I started stripping it and spinning one of them in 2 pieces and the other one in like 4 or 5. So it was a pretty true fractal spin. There's a big section of like yellow on yellow, which I find interesting because I was like, well, this would be good with like a light colored yarn, but like as color work or something. But then I was like, maybe not, because there's like a lot of yellow on yellow. So actually I would just like knit like a hat or something with this. I think it would be fun and different. It's almost the University of Vermont colors, which is green and gold. So not quite though. Excuse me. But yeah, I think like actually just knitting like some cozy ribbed hats with hand spun is actually not a bad idea. They're quick, they're cozy, you can give them to people, and it's like extra special because it's also your hand spun. If you have 100 grams, you know, just a quick little ribbed hat. Like, why? I feel like that would be cute. I don't know. If you have ideas for what I should do with this, let me know. Maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, I would buy your hand spun. I'm like, great. Because I maybe can get that, do that this summer. Just like put a bunch of it on Etsy and just ship it out to people who want it. So I finished that. And then I was like, all right, you know what I need to do is more long draw. Because Andrea Mowry started the 100 Days of Long Draw Challenge. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the middle of this like Coopworth long draw spin on Felicity here. There's Felicity. She's an Ashford traditional from the 1980s. Felicity. And I've been having a little bit of issue with the take up, but I was like, let me try spinning it again and seeing what happens, and issue resolved itself. That happened once with my matchless too. There was like something that was annoying me and I just didn't spin for like 6 months on it. And then I started spinning again, and whatever the problem was had been resolved. So, cool. That happened with this. So I finished the first bobbin pretty quickly, and then I did the second bobbin really fast. So Andrew Mowry's challenge is like 15 minutes a day of like long draw spinning, and I was like, this is the weekend, I'm gonna spin a ton. Especially on Saturday after I got back from my long run, I basically just like didn't leave the house because I was exhausted, and I had run 13.5 miles, and I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna stay home. I went to Target and I got a whiteboard and a bulletin board. The whiteboard I put up, the bulletin board, I need to take the mounting out and move it like slightly closer together so I can hang it up. But I got a bulletin board for like right there so I could like pin like pictures and swatches and like stuff on it. And then the whiteboard I just got for like over there so I can write. It's mostly knitting related stuff, but also like tasks that I have to do, because I find that, again, this is just like what I do at work all day, is I tell students like, oh, make your task list the night before for the next day, because you know, you're a lot easier at making your future self do things you don't want to do now. Like your willpower is stronger for your future self than it is for your current self. Because you're like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'll feel great and I'll do that. And you might not feel great tomorrow and want to do that, but if you have like planned out that you're going to do that, it's just like so much easier to just execute it, because we love structure as humans. So we like having a choice, but it's like, oh, I gave myself a choice yesterday, and coach me yesterday said I had to do this today. So here it is, like, look, this is, and I tell students, and like, decide, like, you've got this 2-hour block, great. So make your task list and then be like, during that 2-hour block, I'm gonna go sit in the library or in this building or in my dorm room or in this place in the dorm or at my house or wherever, and I'm gonna do these 4 tasks. And look, you just have to go do that. It's so much easier than being like, what am I gonna do? You don't get the decision fatigue, you don't get exhausted, your willpower stores go down really fast when you have to make choices. So like, decide the day before. So before I leave for work, because I like to take my own advice, as I said earlier, I write down anything that I want to do when I get home, like cleaning basically, or like I need to prepare dinner or I need to go grocery shopping or whatever. And also like, I'm like knit on Guernsey, like, because it helps, it's fun to check stuff off. So like today when I got home, I was like, oh, I really need to clean the bathroom today. So I better put that on the list so that I know I have to do it when I get home, before I like sit down and start knitting. And like, wash your sheets, and like that was on there too. So I got home, took the sheets off the bed, put them in the washing machine and cleaned the bathroom, and it took 15 minutes. And now I'm gonna have clean sheets and a clean bathroom, because instead of sitting down, because you lose momentum when you sit down. So I wanted to do before I did this and just like, you know, get it done. So I like the whiteboard because it gives me, it also helps a place to like write down the knitting brainstorming that I do, because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to knit this thing, and then I forget about it, and it like leaves my head, and I'm like, what was I gonna do with that? So I have a few, like, you know, here's my current whips, here's the old whips like that I need to get to at some point, and here's you know, like stuff, upcoming whips, and then here's like some random brainstorming that I have that I want to kind of get to soonish in the next few months. And that's cool. I'll probably do a lot of like gift knitting tracking on that board, which is, you know, around Christmas time, because I was talking to my mom last night and she was like, yeah, I'm doing Christmas knitting now. And I was like, yeah, I guess if I did Christmas knitting, I would want to have it done by not even December 1st, but November 1st. I want to have that done early. I do not want to be stressed about that, but I don't do a lot of holiday knitting, because I knit so many socks throughout the year. I just give them to people for Christmas. Like, get these out of my house. Here, everybody gets socks for Christmas. People like that. So, and it's easy to knit like a hat. So sometimes I do that. It takes like a, you know, an afternoon. So that's fun. Okay, so getting back to the long draw thing, which I was talking about 5 minutes ago. So I had this Coopworth roving that I got at Rhinebeck in 2022, right after I started spinning. And I got 8 ounces of it, and it was this really nice green color, and it was true roving. It was really, really open, airy, super like gorgeous. I didn't know anything about long draw, and I was like, I'm gonna make like a top with this. There's 8 whole ounces. That'll be so nice. I realize now if I'd spun it all long draw, it would have made a gorgeous top. But as it stands, I separated it into 2 4-ounce pieces and started to spin it on my e-spinner, worsted spun, because that's how I knew how to spin. And I probably started it like in the fall sometime, last fall. And I was kind of frustrated with it. Like, I think I realized pretty fast that it wasn't really like, this is not what the yarn wanted to be. And it felt like I was kind of strangling it. So this was the skein I made. I ended up just chain plying it because I finished the first bobbin, and you can just kind of see like it's really woolly. And I've shown this before, and I was like, I'll compare it when I finally finish the woolen spun version. And it's fine. It's just like, it's a little ropey. It just feels like it doesn't want to be this, you know? I don't know if I can explain that, because like mill spun yarn isn't really like that, but like if you're a spinner, you might know what I mean if I say like the yarn doesn't, like I made the yarn into something it doesn't want to be. Like I put it in a box it didn't want to be in, because this was not what this yarn was prepped for. It was a woolen prep, and I worsted spun it. And so, yeah, just like, it wasn't happy. It wasn't even, like, I wasn't really happy with, like, I was like, why is this so uneven? Why is it so hard to draft evenly? Like, this is annoying. So I decided, some point I decided I was going to learn long draw in 2024. That was maybe one of my like challenges. And then I like did it way before 2024. I was like, no, I can't wait. I'm too excited. So I started using Felicity, this Ashford trad, which came into my life after Thanksgiving, to learn long draw, because it wasn't really working for me for worsted spinning. And I can't remember what I was spinning, but I was like, I just kind of let go with my left hand, which is usually my drafting hand, and it didn't break. And I was like, oh, and I pulled back, and I was like, oh, this is woolen spinning. Like, I was really afraid of that, because you're so afraid to like lose control of it when you first start spinning. Like, you're like, why would I want it? Like the inchworm method, it's like, you're strangling it. You're making sure that it's like getting enough twist, and it's, yeah. So it's really hard to just like trust yourself enough to just let go with one hand and just pull back. And you're like Spider Woman, as a really nice woman in, I think it was Avenue Yarns in Berkeley said, you feel like Spider Woman when you do long draw. And I was like, yeah. So this was my first long draw skein. This was, I think this is Swartbles. It's just 4 ounces of like roving that I had. And it turned out way nicer than I thought, especially after I washed it. It was just like so, it bloomed so beautifully. And it was like more even than I thought. It was like a worsted weight, even though there's so many yards on it, because there's so much air in it. And I was like, this is awesome. But then I had that problem with Felicity, and I was like frustrated. And so I also didn't really spin that much between like February and March, because I was just busy all the time with tons of crap. That like, I'm like, oh, it's April. I don't have to do any of that anymore. So, you know, church music stuff, trips, whatever. So I finished. I decided to go back and finish, and oh my gosh, this is so much softer. I mean, like, I applied it last night, and then I washed it this morning. It was super, super sunny and warm today. And so I washed it and dried it outside, and it is so fluffy. And again, it like fluffed up to like, this is like a DK worsted weight. I mean, there are probably parts of it that are like a sport weight. And it's like so soft. And this is not soft. This is like if you made something out of this, you'd be like, this is scratchy outerwear. This isn't soft. It's like, it's strangled. So look at them next to each other. I mean, and this is a 3-ply and this is a 2-ply. This is so much puffier. So I just realized like, oh, okay, so prep matters. I mean, I think I probably always knew that. I just didn't want to, like try woolen because I was terrified. But the other thing is like, it didn't really shrink when it bloomed. Like it's not like the South Down that I did. I mean, there's a little spring in it, but like it didn't really like spring back like the South Down. Here, let me show you. You can just see how much spring it has when you do something like this. It's like a Rambouillet or a Targhee. Like it just, like you can stretch it so much. There's so much elasticity in this yarn. It's so fun. I really like this. It's fun. So yeah, I really like the woolen spun version of this Coopworth, and I was so excited to be able to compare them, and now I can. I'm like, oh, I finally did that. So I have some roving in my stash, but like for the rest of the long draw challenge, I think I talked about this last week, about this blue like mohair and merino that I have from Yellow Dog Farm in Vermont. And I was gonna make the pressed flowers cardigan with it. And so I'm gonna, excuse me, all that Pellegrino is gonna make me burp. I'm gonna spin some roving that I have. It's like felting fiber. I got this from the same person who made me take Felicity home, my family friend Micah. So there's this color. This one is probably a pretty good batting for spinning long draw. These 3 colors of that. I don't know if I'm gonna use the green though. And then there's this 6-pack of, this is really like, I just tried to spin this and I think it will spin, but it's really like batting. So I think I should need to figure out how to start it, I think. But yeah, oh, maybe if I open it up more. It's felting fiber, so I need to like, yeah, you need to just kind of open it. Like but I think it's been carded on a drum carder, yeah. So you just kind of like figure out how to start it, and then I think it will draw pretty well. But there are like 6 of these and just more. So this is like a fun little combo pack. I don't know how much it weighs total, but yeah, I'm sure this will be plenty all together for like a spin of whatever for the pressed flowers cardigan that I plan to make. So I'm excited about that. I think it's gonna be really pretty, different colors of blues against this color of blue, and that'll be really fun. So I'm excited to get to that. I'm like, now I want to wrap this up so I can practice before I go to Costco. But I actually have to knit so much stuff tonight. Well, maybe I'll just like say screw that and just do this for 15, or maybe I'll just do this for 15 minutes like I said that I would every day. That's the challenge, just 15 minutes. It really adds up. But actually that kind of is all I have to tell you, because coming back every week, I had a busy week. I had to go back to church after 2 weeks off, which was nice. It's funny, Monica was like, are you ready for church on Saturday? And I was like, yeah, I think so. Like emotionally, yes. And it's nice to have a little break. Like we really had 2 full weeks off, because Monica went to go visit her parents last week. So we didn't have rehearsal for like 2 weeks in a row. And I was out the Sunday after Easter because I was on a trip to New York. So I hadn't been at church in 2 weeks, and it was really nice to have the break, but like it was a double header. We did Mass and Evensong yesterday. And yeah, I was pretty tired by Evensong. I was just like, okay, so I have the mental capacity to do this, but like physically, my body is tired. And I hadn't done a lot in the interim. Like I just went to brunch like really close to the church with other people from the choir, and I like did a little bit of grocery shopping at Whole Foods, and then I came back and like ate cannolis with Monica. But yeah, I was like, yeah, this is a lot. Like physically, singing actually is a lot, especially the day after you go on a really long run. So I am training for a marathon next in the fall, Philadelphia Marathon. And as I've said before, unless like my Achilles injury gets really bad or something, but I don't think it's actually a problem. Fingers crossed. Famous last words, knock on wood. I mean, I have a sports medicine, like a PT who checks on it. So if it gets really bad, I just go back and we have more sessions. So, or I learn to rest it and do a lot of cross training, which might have to happen. I do have like a gym at work, so I can cross train there, which is good. And it's getting really hot. So like if I have to do a lot of cross training for a few weeks, it's nice to be able to be indoors working out, I guess, or in the pool. But yeah, what was I saying about that? Oh yeah, it was hard. But I was like, I guess if you get used to doing the long run on Saturday, like your body will just get used to it. And then you kind of just start doing your thing on Sunday. Oh, last week somebody commented something about, they were like, do you remember your first skein that you spun? Like, that's the stage where I am. And I was like, yeah, because I keep it on my windowsill. I keep it right there so I can see it all the time. And I think it's really powerful to keep my first ever skein of yarn. So I'm just going to grab it. It's right here on my windowsill. I probably showed it before, but it was like mystery roving that Monica had because I learned on her wheel, which is named Gertrude. She's right there. This is what my first skein looked like. So like it does look like yarn. It's very chunky. It's under twisted. A lot of people like strangle their yarn, but this wheel doesn't have a lot of controls. So like the take up is, doesn't change and stuff like that. So it's like tied together. There's like pigtails everywhere. You can see them here. If you are a spinner, you know what I'm talking about. They're like pigtails that you get when like one of the plies coils up before it can untwist and spin like around the other ply. But yeah, it's I like this, having it nearby. It's actually, and it's like really bouncy and it's real yarn, but it's nice to like see what I'm doing now and be like, she's come a long way, a lot of tools later, a lot of hours at the wheel later, the real wheel, the e-wheel, whatever. Yeah, it's like hard work pays off. It's nice to have to remember, like, this is right here, and this was only a year and a half ago, and you have come so far, like, because you practiced. So it's nice to remember, like, if you practice, you will become good at something. Again, I am a coach for a job, so I have to subscribe to that philosophy, like, to be good at my job. So, yeah. Otherwise, I'm reading. I finished the Remarkably Bright Creatures. I loved it. It was so sweet. Somebody commented that they listened to the audiobook and they really liked the octopus's voice. I did too. I thought that was really great. Marcellus, he had such a good voice. It was just a really sweet story, and it was like, you kind of could figure out where it was going by like a third of the way through. You're like, oh, that's what's happening. But like you didn't know how they were gonna get there and how the octopus was gonna be involved, and it was like it was sweet and sad and really nice. It was just like a really lovely story. So I recommend Remarkably Bright Creatures for sure. So then I was like, Mom, what should I listen to next? And she was like, well, I just downloaded a ton of Dickens because it was free on Audible. And I was like, yes, I can see that you've downloaded a ton of Dickens on Audible. And I like Dickens a lot. I do. I can't handle a ton of it in a row always, but I try to read like one or two every year. And so I was like, I'm not really ready to jump into that just yet. So I think I'm gonna listen to like at least one more book that's like recent. And so I picked Lear Wife, and my mom had a very funny take on like, she's like, as an academic, this is the kind of person I think the author is. And it's like you see me this type of person at conferences, and it's like the writing is a bit over the top, but it's like a really good, she's like, I really liked it. Like I got really into it. And I ended up really enjoying this book, and I was like, great. Okay. So it's definitely like harder to get into, I think. Or it's easier for me to just like, for my focus to wander off, because it's more like in someone's head or like vaguely about stuff that is not that like, I don't know how to describe it. Like pressing is not the right word. There was just like Remarkably Bright Creatures was like, this is what is happening. It was like very like easy plot to follow, whereas this is like, well, I was thinking about this and then this is happening, and it's just easy. I don't know if it's just like a hypnotic, like Juliet Stevenson's voice just totally hypnotizes me and whatever, but I find myself just like thinking about other things like really easily instead. And so I'm like, okay, I think I have to be in the right headspace to like focus on this book. Like maybe I need to be like sitting and spinning before I go to bed or something. But yeah, I instead, when I can't focus on an audiobook, I notice and I turn it off and I listen to a running podcast instead. I like The Drop. They talk about shoes. I like what's the one about nutrition, Fuel for the Soul? It's the same people. They're Believe in the Run people are in Baltimore, so I like that one, and I'm biased because they're in Baltimore. But there's some good ones. It's the one I like. I like the Des Linden and Carrie Goucher's. It's called Nobody Asked Us. Today was a Boston Marathon, and yeah, it was a Kenya sweep for the women. It was great. I watched the like live coverage of the women coming over the finish line, because it was like right after noon, and I was like eating lunch from 12 to 1 and like prepping this thing for 1 p.m. So I just like, they just had like Boston TV coverage just like on a website. It wasn't even illegal. I was like, great. And so I watched Helen come over the finish line, and it was very sweet. I don't know if I'll ever like run fast enough to run the Boston Marathon, or if I ever even want to run another marathon after I run Philly, or if I'm capable of running a marathon at all. We're gonna find out in November. But yeah, everybody who runs is like, yeah, no, Boston is like the big one because you have to qualify and all sorts of stuff. So as a woman under the age of 35, I would have to run a marathon in 3 hours and 30 minutes to qualify for Boston, which I definitely can't do yet. So maybe one day, I don't know. It's like one of those things where you're like, I don't know how far I can push my body. You know, genetically, I know that I am like, have a body that is like good at running, because of the way that I'm shaped and like the way that my legs are and like the way that my body stores fat and stuff. And like, I know this because there's elite runners on both sides of my family. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun to just like train and see what happens. Like, I like to push myself. And I like to like, you know, build up my cardiovascular fitness, and I'm like, eventually I'm going to plateau, but I don't know where. So I might as well just keep running and find out. And like, as long as I'm not injured and I'm enjoying it, let's just see. It's fun. And I really like progression stuff, like progressive things where you like, you know, you work on something every day. This is why, like, this is so my philosophy as a coach. It's like, just do 20 minutes a day. Like, focus on your input, or like, I love a training plan. Like, and I love to write them for my students. It's a big part of my job is to be like, this is your training plan for chemistry. Like, this is on Monday, you have to do this. On Tuesday, you have to do this. On Wednesday, you have to do this. And if you don't follow it to a T, okay, figure it out. Like, your performance might suffer because you did not follow your plan. Like, that is a direct result of, you know, that's what coaching is. So like, and you got to be your own coach at some point. Like, so you have to like, I have to tell them like, here's the outline. You have to keep yourself honest, like check it off every day. I give them a calendar and it says like unit 16 practice, unit 15 practice, unit 17 practice, unit 14 practice. So they're jumping all over the place for chem. And so they're like, you know, retaining the stuff from last week and all sorts of things. And I'm like, this is your schedule. It's your decision whether or not you follow it. But here I am, your coach, making your training plan. So like, following a training plan for running is kind of like that. Like, you're building, everyone says, you know, the marathon is the training, the race is the celebration. Like, it's true. The biggest lift is getting out the door every day to run your miles and your intervals or your long run or whatever you got to do. And I really like the routine of that. I like getting up early and like leaving the house and being outdoors. And especially as we come into the warm, really hot months, I'm going to have to be doing it at 6 a.m. because it just gets so hot. Like this morning, I mean, today was 85 and that's like pretty typical for here. But this morning it was beautiful. It was like 62 or 63 degrees and I just did an easy run. And it was like 7 a.m. Sun was coming up. It was so pretty. I didn't run super fast or super far. It wasn't like super taxing. I didn't even need to take water with me. It was so lovely. And it's like, yeah, this is nice. And it's like, you build it up over time. You get fitter and fitter the more you do it. And I'm like, look, yeah, this is great. Like, I like the way that my body feels, but also like, you know, anything like this is the same thing. And I'm saying this because like knitting for me is sometimes like this too. Like it's a very progressive thing. Like, you can't knit a Fair Isle sweater in a week. It takes a lot of like coming back to it. The consistency. I always say consistency is the most important thing. Like, it takes so much consistency to knit something like that. So much. And so, but if you can be consistent, you can do a lot. It's more important than, you know, running 10 miles just out of the blue. It's like, yeah, great. Anyone can, you know, if you can do that, then great. But like, you'll feel so much more accomplished if you build up to that and you have logged a lot of miles and you've built it up and you're like, now I can do this. Like, it feels really good. And I tell my students that every day. So now I'm not on the clock. It's 5:45, but clearly I'm still at work. But yeah, just keep at it. I guess this is just like a pep talk if you're frustrated with how long something is taking or something. I don't know. Or like you're like, I'm not good enough at this yet. Just keep at it. Come back to it every day and just put in 15 minutes. I guess this is why Andrea Mowry did the long draw or the spindle spin, the initial 100 days of spindle spinning. It was like, you can do it for 15 minutes and you know, you get better. And a lot of people told me this when I first started spinning. They were like, just do 15 minutes a day. Your muscle memory will build up better if you do it that way. Your back won't hurt. You'll get less frustrated. I did not listen to their advice because I spun like 4 hours a day when I started, and that was fine. Now I don't, but like, because I built up the, yeah, but like they were probably right. Like at the end of the day, I was just like really into it and I liked doing it. So I wanted to keep practicing, but like at the end of the day, I probably would have built up my skills just as fast if I had only done 15 minutes a day. Just wouldn't have as much crappy early handspun, which like, what do I do with that anyway? So maybe I should have listened to their advice. But yeah, if you're frustrated, focus on input, do 15 minutes a day. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is long enough. I thought it was gonna be short, but then I started ranting about coaching. But yeah, I'm reading Lear Wife, and I'm not sure yet if I enjoy it. If you read that, let me know, and let me know that I should keep reading it. Okay, I guess I'll probably see you next week. If not, it just means I'm busy with many things, but I don't think April is that busy of a month. So check out the Shopcast on Friday. I'll be on the Shopcast talking about the Natalie Cowl. If you want a kit, there'll be at the Woolly Thistle on Friday, which is so exciting. And yeah, have a great week. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye.